All right, well, hey, we're here, Ryan Riggin again, episode, I don't even know, what is it, 6 or 7 now? So episode 6. Really excited to have Brady Hester on the podcast today. I love making connections on Twitter. LinkedIn is amazing, but I have to tell you, Twitter for me has just been awesome the last several years. And I was screwing around on Twitter a month or so ago, and I have had some issues with my Facebook account, which we haven't, we can go into, and we probably will get into that today. But I'm on the Facebook naughty list, and it's been a thing. I'm trying to get that whole thing figured out. I forget if I saw a tweet from you or if you responded to me or whatever, but Brady posted something and said, hey, I've got a formula, or I've been able to get around the Facebook bans. And I was like, well, man, can you help me out? And I looked at his profile, and he's from Kansas City. So I was like, hey, what's up? We connected that way, and here we are. So thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Of course.
Yeah.
Cheers.
And we're drinking Tomstown, Kansas City whiskey this afternoon. So cheers.
It's nice.
Yeah. So tell me about Brady, and tell me about Braddog Media.
Totally. Yeah. So, back it up. I actually came across your profile first.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny. You're going through your Facebook stuff. I was, fortunately not now, a couple weeks back, I was going through something with a Google Ads account.
Oh, yeah.
And it is impossible to talk to a real human being.
That's what
at
it
Google.
was. Okay. Yes.
And I'm searching like crazy, like any sort of number I can finagle my way in there.
Yeah.
And you happen to have a related post. I'm like, oh, this guy's from Kansas City.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now it's coming back, because I had an issue with my Google account, and I think I posted something along the lines of, like, Google knows everything about me, but I've been on this chat for like 3 hours, and they've asked my name like 7 times or something like that. Like, every single time I get transferred to a new person, it's like, tell me about your name. Tell me what your name is. And I'm like, guys, you know where I live. You know where I'm leaving to go in my car. Like, you know what I'm having for dinner. Anyways, so cool. Well, so yeah. So I guess let's just get it out there. I'm banned from Facebook, and I don't know what the hell to do. I got banned personally. My personal account got banned. That lasted about 4 days, and magically it came back. So like, I just logged into Facebook one day, and it was like Ryan didn't exist. Like 10 years worth of friends and chats and history and pictures and the whole thing just gone. And honestly, I really didn't care that much. I was like, this is kind of a relief. Like, not have to worry about it anymore. But then I'm like, shit, I run an agency. What am I going to do now? And to this day, I still am not allowed to, like, I can view stats. I can look at data. I can see everything I want to see, but I can't, like, actually make a change to a campaign. So I don't know. We'll figure that out. But yeah. So what's Braddog Media specialize in? What do you guys? What's your story?
We'll jump into getting out of bands and all that. But so Braddog Media, it's really focusing on growing brands in the digital world. And the primary focus there is with digital advertising and gaining attention through more of the paid means, which is really one of the only options there are these days, with organic pretty much being shut down across the board. Not a lot of options there. And I've primarily found actually a lot of success through YouTube advertising in particular.
Interesting.
So I utilize Google and my content creation team to put together high-level content that I can then run through Google and YouTube. Nice. And that's really where I found a lot of the cheapest attention to be, and where I can bring the most value to clients. And so that's been the biggest focus. And I've also had a podcast the past couple of years, which has been great lately, because ironically, I've had other podcasts reaching out to me to help grow their shows. So I have that back end experience there. So
it's very much a sort of rising tides raises all ships sort of a thing, I've found that in the last so we had a podcast a couple of years ago. It was called Growth and Code. And it was primarily focused on growth tech. And we like anything in entrepreneurship, you do it once and fuck it up and then realize what you did wrong and get better at it. And the mistake that we made was, well, one, we didn't hire someone that knew what the hell they were doing. So props to my boy Ryan over here, who has got
Shout
this
out Ryan.
ship. Ryan, RPI Creative, rpicreative.com. If you're not familiar, Ryan Imming from Kansas City. But we try to do it ourselves, right? So we're like, well, how hard can it be? We put a camera on the thing and talking to a mic, and it was like a shit show. But we did put out 3 or 4 episodes, really great conversations, I thought. And then we were like, we got cocky, and we were like, let's do video. Like, it can't be that much harder, like we'll put a camera on there and we'll just take the conversation, we'll just post them to YouTube. And it made it 10 times as hard. It made us worry. We had to worry about production and quality. And it was a whole nother layer. And we did like 4 video episodes, and that was like became too much, and we stopped. And so I've often found that the keeping it simple. You just got to start simple, And now we're in a position where Ryan, he's got us dialed in terms of like, quality of the just the whole thing, right? What the episodes look like, every thumbnail's the same. There's consistency. We do it at the same time every week. There's a pattern. So it's great. So I'm curious, when you're dealing with clients, how do you, well, first of all, what kind of clients do you deal with? And second of all, how do you get them to be consistent?
Yeah, that's a big thing. That's a good question. So lately the big push has been actually with like other content creators. Okay. So I currently work with a few content creators that either have a podcast or they do videography work. And essentially they need more attention on what they're doing. Okay. And consistency is a huge thing in that space, because as I'm trying to grow an audience, I need to know that the content is regularly going to be there for me to utilize on the paid advertising side. Yeah. So I have one case that I'm currently working through right now that is a more recent client where the content quality is great, but it's very inconsistent when things are getting posted. And it's really just like explaining the importance of that, because we're growing subscriber counts, which is great. But the thing is, YouTube subscribers. That's where the main focus is. Yeah. In this case, especially. Yeah. But if your client, if your audience doesn't know when you're going to be posting, we're growing a pretty good subscriber count currently, but they don't know when things are coming out. So it's very inconsistent as far as like which videos are taking off based on time of day and things like that. Yeah. So it's really just explaining that. I love to point to the data. Okay. A big data analysis guy. Okay. And really showing them, if we post consistently at these times, we can maximize results. Is it different for different types of businesses, like a lawn care business versus a restaurant or whatever? Yeah, so like with the videographer I'm working with, he can post on a more frequent basis, because a lot of times he's posting like 2-minute highlight clips for his videography business. Okay. And in that case, consistency isn't as big of a thing, but it's still important to have like those 2 videos a week. And is there a sweet spot? Like, if you're posting, a video a day or a video, does it matter how much you post, or is it more important to be consistent? There is like a little bit of, you can overpost from what I've seen, especially with podcasts. Okay. People aren't ready to listen to a full hour-long podcast every day unless you're like Joe Rogan. There are a couple of exceptions, but in most cases, you really don't want to put more than 2 podcasts up a week. Okay. Or you're going to start seeing a drop in views. Yeah. And Rogan's an interesting one. How many does he post a week? You're a big Joe Rogan fan, aren't you?
Almost daily.
He does post daily?
Yeah, pretty close. But he's posting. They've got such a solid cadence with like short form stuff that they're posting as well. Okay. So now, especially now the Spotify deal, it's a little different. I don't follow him as much now. He's on Spotify.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So are all of his episodes like 3 hours long? Because the ones that I've watched of Joe Rogan, are like these extended marathon, like the Elon Musk ones. And I think Matthew McConaughey was like an hour and a half or 2 hours long.
That's the thing with him. He is so inconsistent.
Yeah.
He is such an anomaly. I mean, I've followed him for years now, and he has some that are an hour, some that are 4 hours.
Yeah.
Some weeks he'll have 10 podcasts some week and then take the next week off.
Yeah.
So he's all over the place.
Interesting. So the videographers are your clients, at least it sounds like, are your clients mostly, what's the right word I'm looking for, like services businesses or content creators or agency types?
Yeah, so most are in the services, or they have a podcast that they're working to monetize.
Okay.
But like in one case and, a couple others I've worked with periodically, they do have some products that they offer, but the big focus for me has been to bring attention to their original content, which in most cases is either like a YouTube show or a podcast. Yeah. And really creating that community type feel around the brand. Yeah. So, I mean, going back to being like a brand builder, that's the big focus. Yeah. Well,
so that's a good segue into, one of the questions I was going to ask you is I always struggle with the term brand. And even today, like the term is such a, I don't even know what the right word. Well, okay. So I went to KU in the late 90s. Yeah. And so I'm old. How old are you?
27.
Oh my God. Okay. So I went to KU in the late 90s and I ordered a book today. I ordered Ogilvy on Advertising. You ever read this book?
No, I haven't.
Have you read the book, Ryan? Okay. So David Ogilvy started Ogilvy and Mather, and he wrote like what is like the Bible for brand advertising, right? Like Madison Avenue brand advertising, how to write copy, how to like imagery. It's like
old school.
Yeah, man. But a lot of it in it is really still relevant. And when I walked into my first advertising class at KU, that was the book. And it was Tim Bankston was the teacher at KU. But I haven't, and I probably never read the book then. But all of the ad stuff that I was taught at KU, I got an advertising degree. This was pre-internet, right? Right. Like I graduated college in May of 2000. So like I got an email account when I was a junior, and it was kind of, no one really used it. Maybe like occasionally mail an assignment to the teacher. When I went, my first job out of college was at the Chicago Sun-Times, and I remember not having an email address in my first job, which was kind of weird.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I guess where I was going is with the term brand, like it's such an interesting term because, is it a logo? Is it a message? Right. Is it people? Is it art? Is it like, what do you think of when you call yourself a brand strategist? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's such a huge distinction there. I always try to emphasize the builder part of things. I'm not one that's into branding as much, which is more of the early stages of creating the logo, creating color schemes, and getting the initial look and appeal. Yeah, I'm more focused on taking a brand that has those things, and getting them more attention, more business. Like
very interesting.
So more like steps 2 to 3, 3 to 4, rather than 0 to 1. Okay. Getting those initial things. Like I already like to work with people that have a start and have some direction.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective because I think a lot of people think that it's the other way around. Right. Especially if they're just starting, or if it's a company that is quote unquote rebranding, right? And I've been through a couple of like corporate rebrandings, and most of the time they're a disaster. Because if you're rebranding, something's wrong, right? Like if you have to like change your name,
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. And I've been through one that was really, really interesting. But I lost my train of thought. I guess where I was going is, I think a lot of people think about it the other way around. Like they think, okay, we're gonna brand, we're gonna do branding, so let's get a logo. Well, especially if it's a startup, they spend 2 weeks deciding on a domain. Like, let's figure out what our domain's going to be, and then you get sucked into that rabbit hole. And And then you got to go get a logo and brand guide and style guide and typography and the whole thing. And that stuff is great. Like, I love that part because that's when the idea kind of like, it's like the spark. But then
totally.
I think of it like a fire. Like if you're trying to start a fire, like that is the spark. But then everything like the community development, talking to customers, getting people to like experience what your brand is about, like that's when the fire starts to build.
Totally. Well, it's funny you bring that up because I just had a client the other day tell me that I'm basically the gasoline to the fire.
Okay.
Right. So
that makes sense.
So they have things in place, but they're just lacking the attention.
Yeah.
They don't understand where their target audience is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And if you follow me on social anywhere, I always harp on target audiences. It's like the biggest things. You have to have that in check.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you don't know who you're speaking to, then you're speaking to nobody.
Yeah, dude. It's like, what's that saying? Not everyone is not your customer.
Right.
I think
if everyone's your customer, then no one is.
Then no one's your customer. And you, I think I maybe commented or something on a tweet that you had the other day.
Yeah, probably.
And it was like, someone told me that right when I first started my agency like 6 or 7 years ago. They're like, well, what's your niche? And I'm like, well, I don't really have a niche. I'm just trying to hustle and get clients and help people do what I'm good at. And they're like, well, if everyone's your customer, you're not going to be able to find a customer. And I agree with that to a certain extent. But when you're beginning, like at the very beginning, sometimes you got to just, sometimes you got to run.
Oh, yeah, you got to test the markets and see what hits and then you can niche down. But
yeah, it's a balance for sure. Well, so, okay, let's get into the weeds a little bit. So let's talk about YouTube subscribers because I don't want you to feel like this is like a free consulting session. I'm not asking you for like help or whatever, but I'm really interested because you're in a better place than we are from a YouTube channel standpoint. We started. What did we start, Ryan? We started a month ago, 2 months ago, and we're light years ahead of where we were. I mean, we basically had a YouTube account that was tied to our Gmail and it had our logo on it, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And now we have a little bit of a runway. Like we have consistent content being posted. We have maybe 20 videos in 3 well-organized playlists, and and we're off and running.
Awesome. Yeah.
Totally. What do we need? What are the tricks to get? Well, I guess two-part question. Are subscribers? Is it that important to have subscribers? And if it is, then how do we what's the strategy to get them without it becoming spammy?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think subscriber count is huge because I forget. Somebody has this book. I haven't even read the book, but it's about finding like your 1,000 true fans.
Okay.
Right.
I think I've seen this.
And it's so easy to get any type of attention, but if you can get 1,000 people that are diehard fans, they'll do a lot of the marketing for you. Okay. And if you can find those people that just love the brand and consistently talk about it, tell their friends about it, that's such a huge edge compared to another channel that might have, 100 subscribers. They get millions of views, but that's just through ridiculous ad spend, right? And you're not actually getting fans.
Do you do you find it? Do you find that people try to go too huge?
Huge in regard to view count or
subscriber count and view count. Like for us, like when we started, I was like, we're new at this. Like we're trying to, not to make this an Answer Media commercial, but we're doing some cool shit here. Yeah. And we also want to engage in conversations with interesting people around Kansas City, and not just in Kansas City. I shouldn't say that. We have clients all over the place, but we feel strongly that, I should say I feel strongly. I have a chip on my shoulder about Kansas City. Like I think Kansas City is overlooked, and
I'm with you.
We want to. We want to get in that game. Like we want to start, and maybe, and it's probably my own ego talking a little bit, but like I want to be part of the Kansas City tech entrepreneur scene. Like it's something that's important to me because there are some cool things that have happened in and around technology in Kansas City. Oh yeah. And I think it still is looked at as flyover country. Like We have one main like VC company here, and it's called Flyover Capital.
Yeah, it's
right.
crazy.
Like, and it's a great. They've invested in some cool stuff, but like, there's a lot of neat things that have happened in Kansas City, and I don't feel like the rest of the country knows about that. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is we're trying to grow our YouTube channel, and our marketing goal is to level up our brand presence in Kansas City, have interesting conversations with our clients, people that are kind of in and around tech and digital, and start conversations. Like that is this isn't an analytics game for us. We're not like tracking the ROI of this podcast.
Right.
We're I can tell you that it works, because it starts conversations, that's the goal. So, but for a company that is more, metrics driven, let's just pick a random company. Let's say, an insurance company,
right?
Let's say it's an insurance company, and they come to you and they're like, Brady, how do we leverage content to grow our brand? How important is, well, if you have a YouTube channel, you got to get to 1,000 subscribers,
Yeah. I mean, that's more of like, that's a nice appearance thing.
Yeah.
Once you start to get to some commas.
Yeah.
Is nice. I mean, it's funny you bring up insurance, which is like such a common, business.
Yeah.
There are a million insurance companies out there. I actually know of and was on a podcast where they're two brothers and they're in the insurance space. And I thought it was so funny, but it just like hit home into the point of like, it doesn't matter what lane you're in. If you can show your personality out there and connect with people on a human level, they're willing to work with you in like really anything. Yeah. And it's amazing. They don't even really talk about what they do on their podcast. They just bring on guests and the audience gets to know them. Yeah. But now they have so much of a presence that their business is blowing up because of unrelated content.
Well, you make a good point about humanizing. Like,
it's huge.
The content that you put out on the web it completely kills barriers, right? Like if you think about an insurance company, I think about a 200 or 150 story building or whatever with a massive sign, but throw that all out the window and it's like, Steve sitting on the couch having a conversation with me, To me, that's what's interesting about quote unquote content marketing right now, Yeah, totally. Is that there is zero barrier. Anybody can, get in front of a mic and start talking. You ever read the best book, They Ask You Answer?
No.
Great book about, and it's more about text-based content, but this guy has a pool installation company in Florida. And it's all about how he struggled to try to figure out how to market his business. And finally, someone gave him the advice to, what are the top 15 questions that you get asked? Just answer them on YouTube.
Right.
Just go to YouTube and answer the questions. And his business blew up because it was because what happened was all the search terms lead right to the videos. Should I use ceramic or fiberglass? Should I install my pool in the winter or the summer? How do I get a plan? Should it be covered or not? Boom, that's your marketing strategy.
I mean, YouTube's second biggest search engine in the world.
Dude, no one gets that.
Nope.
I don't think anyone, and I sleep on it. People are like Google, and Google owns them, right? Yep. So it's if you're running search ads, YouTube is a search engine. You know what it also is that I think people also sleep on?
What's that?
It's a social network.
Yeah.
When you look at your stats and social, people think of Facebook, Twitter, Insta, TikTok, but YouTube is a massive social network, and it's got search built right in.
The comment section is insane on YouTube.
It's really fun.
It's crazy. That's a wild place.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's go off script a little bit here. Give me a couple of YouTube channels that you're following right now that are just super interesting.
So I'm a huge Pat McAfee fan.
Pat McAfee. All right, I got it right. Ryan's nodding his head.
Yeah, totally.
I'm looking him up right now.
So he was a punter for the Colts. Shout out Pat McAfee. So it's just the Pat McAfee show. He's changing sports content.
Really?
Every day he has a 3-hour YouTube show. He has no network, runs his own show, over 1 million subscribers, does whatever he wants.
When you say he has no network, what do you mean?
Well, he's not like signed to CBS.
Okay, so he doesn't have like a agent deal.
No boss.
Dude, okay.
So he can swear on there. He'll bring in athletes and like free flow it.
Dude, 1.3 million subscribers?
Crushing it. And actually what was crazy is at the start of quarantine, I think he had 400,000.
Oh, I was wondering where that audio is coming from. It's from my okay. Wow. Okay.
So I'm huge on that. And
so what's his content about? Is it about
So he
sports?
keeps up with sports like any of the regular talk shows, but he's just a normal dude.
Okay.
Talks like how we would now, drops,
F-bombs all over the place.
Whatever. And his
Very
guests can
interesting.
too. So like he had Aaron Rodgers on every week for the NFL season. And if Aaron Rodgers went on the NFL Network, he can only say so much.
Yeah.
He goes on there, he can let it fly.
Very interesting. Okay. All right, I got to check this out. This guy looks familiar.
He was a punter for the Colts for like 8 years.
He looks like Trevor Bauer.
You think?
Yeah.
I love Trevor Bauer too.
I do too.
He's changing the game.
He is changing the game. Did you see the SportsCenter episode about him and his female agent? It was on yesterday or 2 days ago.
So I keep up with his YouTube, but I didn't see that.
So he has his agent. I don't know if she's the first, but she's the first like prominent
Crushing it.
female sports agent, and she's killing it. And just signed him to 4 years, for $160 million, $40 million a year, first $40 million pitcher.
With an opt-out after every year if you want that.
So he can renegotiate every single year.
Yep.
I mean, and this girl is killing it. She went to, what a background. She went to UCLA. That's how they know each other. I think she played softball.
Yeah, I think she was a gymnast or something. But
yeah, she was. You're right. She was a gymnast, but you're right. She was a gymnast. One of her other clients is a softball player, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
But she really interesting lady, and then she went to Pepperdine Law School, and then she wound up doing the sports agent thing. I don't know if Bauer was her first client or what, but
yeah, I don't know. Now she's caught the eye of a lot of guys now. I mean, I know Puig signed with her.
Really?
Yeah, she has some other big names now.
That's a fascinating space.
Yeah.
Like Gary Vaynerchuk, I think, is in that space too, right? Doesn't he have like a Vayner
Sports?
Vayner Sports.
Yeah, his brother is like the head of it, I think.
Okay, that's right.
He's
all right, so Pat McAfee, I love that one. I'm going to follow him. Give me somebody else.
What else do I listen to? Barstool. I mean, they're kind of in a similar space. I'm a big Dave Portnoy fan.
So you know what's interesting about Dave Portnoy for me is I didn't know who he was. I had heard of Barstool and had kind of like seen the posts and whatever, but I didn't hear of Portnoy until the Bitcoin craze.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because he's somehow kind of tied into that, I guess, or not the Bitcoin. I'm sorry, not Bitcoin. GameStop.
Oh, okay.
So
that's recent.
Yeah, like in the last 2 or 3 weeks, really. Like when the GameStop thing happened, Portnoy went all in and was like super long, and
I mean, he's a guy that's not scared of like the big media.
Well, so what's his deal? Like, where did he come from? What's his background?
Yeah, so I'll give you a quick. There are a lot of layers to Barstool, right? I mean, he's been at it for like almost 20 years now, but originally Barstool Sports was a betting-related newspaper in Boston.
Okay.
Very like, geez, I mean, he would literally hand out newspapers, like trying to get people to pay attention to him. Then the internet came, and he was one of the first people to like jump on sports blogs.
Interesting.
So he really jumped on that and capitalized on that space.
So they're under 1 million subscribers. That kind of surprises me.
That is interesting. I don't understand how that is, but they're a company though. Like everybody in the company has their own YouTube channel.
Okay, so
it's kind of spread out.
It's an interesting strategy. I mean, maybe they spread it out. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Dave has like millions of social media followers.
Look at their header. Check this out, Ryan. Their header says, "We invented the internet."
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So cocky, but
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Very interesting.
But, no, the GameStop thing was funny. He actually had a live video the other day with Vlad, who owns
Robinhood guy,
and went at him.
Yeah.
Like right to his face. And the guy was like kind of stunned and
I didn't watch that, but I did see a piece of it. That was interesting.
Pretty funny.
Well, if you haven't checked it out already, there's one that I really enjoy called Real Vision that is just amazing financial related content.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty cool stuff. And then, what's that?
It's a great channel.
Oh, yeah. Caleb, Caleb's our resident crypto expert. Real Vision is the shit. It's really fascinating. I don't even know the guy's name. What's his name? Do you know?
I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, he's a super smart guy, and he has some
Raoul Paul.
And he has some just really interesting guests on to talk about what's happening in crypto. So we've got a crypto guest coming on in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. So nice. Another one that is really interesting and it was the first time that I really got YouTube was the whole Dude Perfect thing. Like I've got a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old, and when Dude Perfect was like coming up, maybe 5 years ago, they started to get big. I guess maybe even before, I don't know, but 5 years ago they started to get big, and my kids actually were starting to get into TikTok, and it was called Musical.ly before. Mm-hmm. And they started to watch Dude Perfect, and it's just like all these trick shot videos and cool shit happening around this warehouse that they have. And their mom was like, "You should take the boys to this Dude Perfect thing." And I'm like, "What's Dude Perfect?" And so she bought tickets, and we went to, they'd like do a show in person. And then we went to the Silverstein Arena in Independence and went to like a live Dude Perfect show. It was cool, man.
Nice. Yeah.
It was really interesting. And then, of course, after that, I sort of realized who they were. But interesting stuff.
They're obnoxious, but they're killing it.
So how do you get subscribers? Like how is it bad to like put, subscribe to my videos in the thing?
No, I mean, people are always like a little cautious to be like ASCII,
Yeah.
Don't even worry about that.
Okay.
Ask for the subscription everywhere you can.
Really?
That is, not a problem at all.
Interesting.
I mean, you bring up Trevor Bauer. His is the most like straightforward of all time. He starts a video. He says...
So he has a channel?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He literally says, "I'll give you a second to subscribe," and pauses for like 10 seconds. I mean, that's like such an extreme example, but definitely don't be afraid to like throw in some graphics to point down to subscribe like at the start. Or of course YouTube has cards where the info, pops at the top.
Stop the video and
you can ask people to subscribe with that, but definitely don't be afraid.
Interesting. So what do you think baseball thinks of this?
I don't know. I can't imagine.
I mean, is it good for baseball or bad?
I think it's good for baseball.
It's got to be good, right?
For baseball as a whole, you got to keep them relevant. And they're, I feel like, kind of behind on the social space.
Yeah, I would agree.
I know, like, inside baseball, right? They're the worst about not letting people repost content, and they, like, copyright infringe and stop people.
You're talking about MLB?
MLB.
Yeah.
Which is hurting the brand, right? Going back to branding.
Yeah.
If they don't let people share their stuff, who's going to see it?
Yeah.
And that's where all the kids are at now, which is like, potential future fans.
Yeah.
So
you know what it reminds me of? Ryan, you'll get this. It reminds me of Metallica. Like when Napster came out.
Yeah.
And Metallica was like, banned Napster, and like everyone like sort of forgot about Metallica. It's like, okay, well, screw you. We'll go find other music.
Yeah. There are a million bands out there, but
yeah. Very interesting. So shifting gears a little bit, are you KC guy? You grew up here?
Yeah, grew up, born and raised.
Where'd you go to high school?
Ray Peck.
Nice. Do you still live out that way?
Yeah, I'm still out there.
Nice, man. Yeah. So I live in Lee Summit.
Oh, cool. So I actually grew up in Lee Summit the first 8 years of my life, and then moved out to Raymore.
Okay.
And
You live near Creekmore?
Yeah, pretty close.
Nice.
Yeah, my dad's like 5 minutes away.
A couple good friends that live in Creekmore. It's a neat golf course.
Yeah, it's a nice course.
Yeah. Well, cool. So what's next for Braddog? How do you take it from? How big's your team? Is it just you? Are you growing? What can we do to help?
Yeah, it's interesting right now. It's not like I have employees.
Yeah.
I currently have like partnerships in place,
Yep.
especially on the content side of things where, I mean, they're ready to go anytime.
Yeah.
So, it's nice, I don't have any overhead or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really it's just about potentially expanding the team.
Yeah.
Like right now I have a videographer and photographer ready and social media consultant. And I'm more focused on the digital advertising side.
Paid ads. Strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Content planning.
Gotcha.
So that's where the big focus is.
Nice.
And, continuing to work with big brands and grow their followings is the biggest thing.
Nice. Well, I want to ask you some more questions about YouTube, but I don't have any. I could sit here and talk about YouTube all day long.
I was going to say, I mean, you asked some questions regarding like building subscriber counts and things like that.
Let's go deep in that rabbit hole. Let's go.
Yeah. There's probably more to dive into.
Let's do it. I want to learn as much as I can about how to build a subscriber count, not only for our brand. So we have, just to give you some context, we have Answer Media is a digital agency, right? We work with clients to help them grow. Most of our clients are e-commerce brands. And we also have a tech group that does technical strategy and execution for e-commerce brands. We come at tech from a totally different angle than most. And there's a reason behind it. I was a sort of de facto CTO of my last company by accident. We had a CTO, the shit hit the fan. It was like, hey, Ryan, can you take over? So I took over and I became the CTO. And so we have a different look on how to get shit done tech-wise than other agencies, I think.
Nice.
And it's because we just know how to get shit done, but we also know where not to cut corners.
Right.
Yeah,
that's important.
We know how to go fast when we need to go fast. We know how to slow down when it's time to slow down and think a little bit. But what we're really trying to figure out and get good at is we bought a film studio. So we have a film studio.
Okay.
We have a film studio. They're killing it in the long form documentary space. I could talk to you for hours about our connected TV business. So we have a connected TV business. It's called Space Mob Studio. We are in the process of building several longer form linear TV channels. Right. So we have a channel called Dark Corners. We have a comedy channel. We have all kinds of different channels, and my business partners, Matt and Lauren and Casey, are running with that, and that side of the business is growing, and it's been great. What as an agency we're trying to get good at is closing that loop between the brand that wants to create long form content versus how to develop a brand on something like YouTube. It's a way different play.
Yeah, it's interesting.
How do you get subscribers, man?
Man, so I have this term called, what you want to find is your honey hole, right?
Okay. I love it. You sound like the guy from Swamp People.
Yeah, right.
That's like my favorite TV show ever.
I actually got an autograph from a couple of those guys. I waited in high school, waited hours in line to get an autograph. That was
find your honey hole.
Cold.
Okay, so what's the honey hole?
That is your pocket of people that really matches your ideal audience.
Okay.
So you want to find like your most ideal person of like for your brand, for your podcast, whatever it is, and tailor targeting specifically to that person.
So is this 1,000 influencers?
Yeah, it's related.
Okay.
I mean, depending on like your goals, it could be a little larger of a group than that.
Okay.
But you want to be as targeted as possible.
Right.
And that's where your subscribers really come from.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could get views for days, just like, going through a wide reach and just racking up that total.
Okay.
But you could never get subscribers, really. I mean, they'd probably slowly trickle in.
Okay.
But you really want to find those like people that really identify with the brand.
Yeah. Okay. So this will be fun. Maybe we'll publish this, maybe we won't, but let's have a little bit of fun. Okay. Let's pretend we're collectively building a strategy for, and this isn't like some bullshit way for me to get a free strategy out of you. We definitely don't have a client in this space, although we would love to. Let's say we were building a YouTube strategy for a client in the golf space, right?
Cool.
And these guys have some fun little device like that helps you swing better. I don't even know what it is. Maybe it helps you hold your hands the right way.
Perfect.
Like, how do we get to it? What's that?
It's actually a good idea.
Well, I know there's a shit ton of them out there. I've used them all. None of them work. So, how do we get these guys, girls to 1,000 subscribers or find their 1,000?
Yeah. So, I mean, the great thing is with YouTube, owned by Google,
okay,
you would highly focus in that case on search engine history.
Okay.
So that's where the main part of the audience would be. You could work with some of the demos as far as gender, age, location, and things like that. But if it's an e-commerce that's nationwide or worldwide,
okay,
you know, I mean, people golf all ages and genders.
Okay, so we're going to go dig through search history to find people that have searched for how to improve my golf swing.
That's the biggest thing, yeah. So you can create a custom audience in that case.
Okay.
And really play around with that, set up A, B, C, D tests.
Okay.
You know, all the way to Z if you have to find this audience.
Okay.
And play around with search terms that really identifies and finds those people that are interested in it.
Okay.
And in that case, like, so if you're selling that product, it's not like every YouTube video has to be around your product. It could just be golf related.
Okay.
And maybe you get to know the people behind that brand.
Yeah.
And then you want to find people that are interested in golf in general.
So I think you hit on a good point. I think a lot of people default to, well, let's show off the product.
Right. People identify way more with people than brands, products, services.
Dude, clip that. Like, that's 100% accurate. You know, we tend to want to put the product, call to action, click here, buy now. Yeah. You know, when it should be, right, like 10 videos about the why.
Totally.
You know, why are you playing golf? Why do you want to get better?
I mean, humans connect with humans. Humans don't connect with a product. You know, you can't get to know that product.
100%. Yeah. All right. So we're going to dig through some search terms and we're going to target some ads to these people. What about our content creation strategy? Like, are we going to find a golfer? Are we going to do it ourselves? Are we going to do demo videos? All the above? Like, what?
Yeah,
what would be fun for a brand like that?
Golf is a fun one. I feel like you could go so many different directions with that.
Yeah, you could have fun with it.
I think it might be fun to get to know maybe a newbie in the golf space, and it could almost be like these funny like training lessons.
That's a good idea.
And you can also incorporate the product a little bit in that, but really be the focus more on that person and get to know the character.
That's a really good
idea. And
try
to see the development over time.
That's a good idea. You know why I think it's a good idea is because 95% of the people that are going to buy the product they're not going to get excited if they see Tiger Woods using this tool. They're going to identify with the person that sucks at golf and wants to get better.
Yeah, right? You want to relate to the target audience.
Yeah,
so.
No, that's a killer idea. Yeah, makes perfect sense. All right, so how do we find our honey hole for those people? Are we going to go find, you know, do we, what about engagement? Like, this is one that I always struggle with. Like, do you want to engage as the brand? Do you want to have a bunch of people engage in the comments? Do you want to have your team engage? All the above.
Like literally commenting in the section.
Yeah, like if let's say we get a video that's got a bunch of comments and a bunch of questions. Like, do you comment as the brand, or do you comment as Ryan or Brady? Like, I mean, I guess it kind of depends. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, you would want to comment from whatever channel the video is posted from.
Yeah.
But an interesting thing, and this would maybe be something in this case that you would want to do, is not actually have that golf channel be the brand, but maybe it's the character's YouTube channel. And then when he's commenting to you, you can actually feel like you're actually talking to a person.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you just compare Gary Vee's channels to VaynerMedia's channels, who has more followers?
That's a great point.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
People want to interact with Gary Vee, not VaynerMedia.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, I mean, of course you want to comment from whatever channel it is, but having the personality be the channel is
interesting.
A big thing.
Well, if we're going to go that route, we need a new personality. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that, though. You're right. I mean, I feel like the default when you're wanting to like comment or engage with people on social is to do it as the brand, because you're trying to build something. Like it seems to me like it's I don't know how to think about that one. Like you're always wanting to put the brand first.
Right.
But you're right. People don't identify with brands. Identify with you. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. Interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, there's some exceptions. Of course, like there are Nike guys, Under Armour guys, but for the most part, people identify with people.
Yeah. And that sort of explains the whole influencer strategy too, right? Like people, they want to see other cool people using...
Yeah, I mean, why does Nike pay Serena Williams to wear Nike stuff?
Yeah.
If the brand was more important, then they wouldn't need her.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, man, we could sit here and talk for hours. I would love to do it, and we'll do it again. You're welcome to come out anytime. Where can our audience find you? And what can they contact you on your site? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, totally. So, as a brand guy, I'm very consistent. Everything's Braddog Media.
Nice.
Any channel you want.
Okay.
Website.
Cool. Nice.
Go follow me there.
Good deal.
I mean, if you want to email me, of course, Brady at Braddog Media. So,
good deal.
Feel free to reach out anywhere. I'll reply to whatever site you'd like.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you coming out. It's been awesome connecting on Twitter. Come out anytime, man. Everybody, Brady Hester, Braddog Media.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Anytime.